Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. I just woke up. I feel absolutely terrible. My ears are actually kind of clogged or something. So I just have not been taking care of myself. Yeah. And this is what happens. This is the result if I don't honor my limitations and take care of myself. If I don't stay off of digital devices. That's been my biggest problem right now as we've been looking for houses. And I did meet with my psychiatrist virtually today. We did a short meeting and ended up getting off the call because I was just not feeling well. I started yawning, which happens when my head is really overloaded and tired. I just start yawning, like uncontrollable yawning. That's been happening since my stroke, so it's a big sign that I need to shut down. So I took a nap. I don't know. That's my update on how I'm feeling. So I'm a little low key today, and I know that's okay. You guys understand. I wanted to talk about dependence today, and I wanted to talk about dependence in order to get independence. So I guess what this morning's like, or over the past few days, I guess, all the symptoms I've been feeling, and sometimes it feels like I've regressed. And I know that that's not what's happening. What's happening is that I'm not taking care of myself. Just like somebody who is a diabetic, they have to do the right things, eat the right things, take their medication, or else they don't feel good. And what I was just thinking of is there was a guy that I worked with that was a diabetic, and he ended up passing away because he didn't take care of himself. And I feel lately that my symptoms are so heightened that, like, when I do my exercises at night, um, I'm actually right on the verge of the room spinning, right on the verge. And those of you who have been listening for a long time, I always rate my symptoms. I learned it from my vestibular therapist, and I'm definitely beyond a 5, which is not where I'm supposed to be. And when I get beyond a 5, if I keep exposing myself to things that I shouldn't, um, I start getting new symptoms, scarier symptoms. And the worst of them all is drop syndrome, I think is what it's called. And I'm starting to feel a little bit of the things that happen before I feel drop syndrome. I don't think it's called a drop attack, not drop syndrome. Um, and so I'm really just I'm playing with fire is what I'm doing. And so I did take a nice big nap this afternoon, and I am committed to doing so now for the next 4 days, because that's usually how long it takes. 4 days. It might take longer because that's how bad I feel. But committed to taking some afternoon naps. So, what was I? So, dependence in order to feel independence. Taking life seriously. I guess that's why I went back to my symptoms again, because I need to take my life seriously. And back when I was drinking, I wasn't taking life seriously. We only get one shot at it. It doesn't seem like it. It feels like we're indestructible. And but it's so vulnerable and priceless, this life that we have. It only is going to happen once for me, and I need to treat it with care. And it's hard. It's hard to treat it with care because I have this thing called my wanter that makes me do things. It makes me do things that I want to do that aren't necessarily the best for me, for my wellness. Um, and just like my physical health, health? I heard today for in sobriety, we get physically sober first, then we get mentally sober, then emotionally sober, then spiritually sober. And I thought that that was cool. I had never heard of that, but that is what it feels like. Um, and mental health, like any other illness, um, can need professional help. And that was a lot of what we talked about this morning. And long ago, just like what I'm doing now, like I'm playing with fire. And back then when I was drinking and I was trying to figure out what I could do to get better without actually taking away the drink, I wasn't taking my life seriously. Like I only had one shot. I wasn't owning what was the root of the problem. I didn't know. I didn't know the root of the problem was my drinking until I did know and I ignored it. You know, it's really fascinating how much we beat up ourselves, our bodies. We beat up our bodies, we beat up our minds, we beat up our emotions. We're mean to ourselves. And then at the end of the day, it's like, do I believe in something greater than myself or not? You know, why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we make everything have to be proven and difficult? It doesn't have to be that way. But yet that's how I make it. I make it that way. So these layers of getting well, the recovery stages, that's what I heard. First is physical, then mental, then emotional, then spiritual healing. And recognizing that wellness is more than just not putting unhealthy things in my body. It's stopping harmful behaviors. It's creating balance in my life. And balance is very difficult for me right now. It's the spoon and cup theory that that I talk about all the time. Side note, I made a bunch of spoon and cup theory bracelets, like bead bracelets that have little tiny silver charms on them of a spoon and a cup. They're freaking adorable and they're available on my Etsy shop, which you can find at Recovery Upcycling on Etsy is the name of the shop. Recovery Upcycling. And they're cute and they come in all different colors. And if you don't like the colors that are there, you can send me a message and I'll make one in the color that you want or whatever kinds of beads that you want. They're super, super cute. And they're a good reminder about balance, about using your spoons uh, carefully and methodically in order to make sure that you have enough spoons to do the stuff that's good for you, not just the stuff that you want, but the stuff that's healthy. And then having enough spoons so that you can fill your cup and do the things that create that spiritual wellness and emotional wellness. So, little commercial for me and my bracelets. There's all kinds of stuff on my Etsy shop, by the way. Lots of cute stuff. I don't make ugly stuff. It's all cute stuff. So letting go of what I was thinking this morning was it's like I'm mentally gripping on to the past, gripping on to the things that I used to be able to do that I can't do. And it only, I've been getting better at it in stroke recovery with this vestibular disorder, but there are times that I get to this point where I'm like, I want to do this and I'm not going to not do it. And the difference between me and somebody who completely lost their vision, which I heard, last night I went to a new stroke support group in the area out of Fredericksburg, Mary Washington Hospital. And it was a big stroke support group and it was super awesome. They were so loving and kind and welcoming. So I'm really excited to have a new group. I'm not going to stop going to my old group, but I'm going to be moving down to that area. So I wanted to make sure that I had support down there. And it sounds like they do activities, which I don't know if I can participate in, but um, long story shorter, um, they told me that there was a woman who was not there last night who had a stroke and she lost her vision completely in one eye and partially in her other eye. So it's interesting that there is somebody who's dealing with a vision issue. Because I said in response to that when they told me that, I was like, sometimes I wonder what I tell you guys. Sometimes I wonder if it would have been better if I lost my vision instead of dealing with this battle, this trying to balance, this chronic pain, this headache. Um, and I feel very guilty when I say that because there we are. Knowing that there's a woman who completely lost her vision in one eye and partially in the other, and she's trying to learn how to live life that way. So it's probably just not fair for me to say maybe it would have been better if I lost my vision. Because I am grateful I didn't lose my vision. I get to still look at beautiful things. It just hurts, you know? Not all beautiful things hurt, just if they move, it hurts. So, the mental gripping is what I feel like I've been doing lately. And I think that it still goes back to acceptance. It still goes back to acceptance being the gateway to progress. And um and it's I think it's hard because the acceptance part has always been hard for me because my symptoms, if I take care of myself, start feeling manageable. And then I'm like, okay, well, I feel good. So now I'm gonna fill in the blank. And then I start feeling worse again. Like acceptance, it's like, that just reminded me. It's kind of like, I suppose there's lots of examples I could give, but it would be like exercising and eating right so that I lose weight and then saying, okay, I've lost weight. Now I'm going to eat a bowl of candy. It's not good for me. I'm going to gain weight back, like all of these things. And it can be similar. I was thinking of another metaphor, but there's so many. I mean, I'm sure that you can think of similar ones. It's just like, do what's good for me until sorry, something just hit me, until you get back what you want to get back and then do the bad thing again. That's not how it works. And I was laughing because when I met with my psychiatrist today, she said, uh, um, do you reward yourself for when you do things like when you restrict yourself from things? Like I told her it would be probably beneficial for me to commit to using voiceover on my phone for the next week or at least 4 days. And she's like, do you reward yourself if you do something like that? And I was like, yeah, yeah, I reward myself with being able to get back on my phone. And she was like, no, that doesn't count. She's pretty funny. I really like her. That doesn't count. She's like, maybe rewarding yourself with a piece of clothing that you've been wanting to buy or something like that. And I was like, I'm already rewarding myself with clothing for no reason. So, anyway, I said point taken. I think that that's a good idea. So I need to figure out some way to like say good job to myself because that's my responsibility to manage my emotions during that time, to reward myself. And I talked about rewarding ourselves a couple years ago when I was talking about celebrating small successes. And back then, my challenge was feeling hope. And I decided to put a sticker on my mirror every day that I felt hope because that's how bad things were back then. And it really helped. It really helped for me to acknowledge there it is. There's that feeling of hope. And it would be nice to do that again in this situation, to acknowledge job well done. So this morning in my second meeting, what came to mind, we read step 3, which is about turning to a higher power and asking for help. And to summarize, and it tends to be this turning point. It's not the first time we seek help in the recovery program, in the sobriety program. It's the second time because to even get there, we needed to ask for help. So, step 1, when we're admitting that life is unmanageable, we are seeking help. We're seeking something bigger. Like just by going to AA or going to a detox facility or what have you, um, that is seeking something greater than yourself, a higher power, like something bigger than yourself. And everybody has a different higher power. Lots of people in the fellowship use the fellowship as their higher power, as the thing that's greater than themselves, because together we are greater than a single one of us. And but there's action involved there, and that's what stood out to me today is the idea of in order to really I can feel acceptance, but I need to turn it into action to ingrain that within me. And that's where the commitment to turning on voiceover is. That's where the commitment to when my husband and I sit in front of the TV at night, like my commitment to not look up at the TV, no matter if there is like a volcano and he says people are running down the mountain away from the lava, like don't look at the camera at the TV. And it's challenging, but I know that I can do it. I can do it. But I have to be willing to do it. I have to make a commitment. And I find that that happens within me when I'm facing a turning point. Um, that I need to really like make a deal with myself. And when I turn to, speaking of like reaching for help, when I turn to professional help, I'm making an agreement with myself. I'm looking inward and I'm saying, you can't do this by yourself. Things are not good. And that mom in me I've talked about not so long ago, that mom in me is saying, look, Rachel, I'm getting you some help. And I don't care what you say, your wanter is not going to work here. And then moving from self-reliance to willingness, that action is what like dig what I'm thinking of is like with our brains when we have to retrain our brains to do things after stroke. It's like we do it repeatedly and it like digs in that path. That's what I imagine it. I imagine it like digging into that path, that neuro pathway, and then sleeping and hitting the save button, and there it is. You're doing it now. I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not trying to find a different neuro pathway. I'm carving a new one, and then taking care of myself, hitting the save button, and then I'm doing it a new way. I'm taking action to I don't know, solidify that commitment. Um, I thought of the word this morning, neutralizing self-will through willingness, quieting that self-will. The self-will is what makes my head hurt. It does. The self-will is what is causing me more pain. So willingness to do what I know is right, do the next right thing is what is going to make my head start feeling better. And it's the same stuff like what I'm doing here. If you notice, those of you who are in sobriety who listen, and I know there's a lot of you, and I'm so appreciative for you. You are my family. I'm practicing these principles in all of my affairs. That's all I'm doing here. So turning my will and my life over to something greater than myself allows me to have freedom. I'm turning my self-will, I'm neutralizing it by doing the next right thing, asking for help, turning my life over to something greater than myself. And that is everything outside of me. Doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, all of these people in my life have been who have dedicated their career to helping people like me. And it gives me freedom. If I keep feeling shitty like this, I can't do the things that I love. And I'm seeing that and I'm feeling that. It ends up making me have to take a nap for a week in the afternoons. Not a whole week, not a whole week long nap. That would be terrible. Some of you may think that would be wonderful, but I think that would be terrible. A week long nap. But when I'm taking a nap due to me like causing myself head pain, it's taking me away from the things that I love to do. What I've been wanting to do since Monday is do a nice deep cleaning of the house. And I did some cleaning on Monday and I just haven't been able to do much. It steals my energy and I just don't feel good. So turning my life over to what I know is better for me. And so that dependence on a higher power, something greater than myself, the dependence uh, on following instruction, the dependence on fellowship, the dependence on listening to my psychiatrist and doing things that are not bad for me. It's hard. It's hard, but that's what creates true independence is to depend on other people and follow through and take action. Acceptance has to be carved into my neural pathway through action. That's how I see it. So there is a lot of strength that comes from asking for help, but it takes courage to ask for help. It's far from being a weakness. It's the strongest thing that we can do. The bravest thing that we can do is ask for help in whatever situation. I don't care if you're opening a pickle jar or you are a actively drinking alcoholic, or you have a vestibular disorder, whatever is happening in your life, the strongest, bravest, most rewarding thing that you can do is ask for help. Um, we were not meant to do things by ourselves. We weren't. We are a human race. We are meant to socialize and be together and help one another and connect with one another. That's what transforms what we have in isolation into a life of freedom and purpose and serenity. I am not serene unless I'm connected to people. Because if I'm not connected to people, I'm making up stories in my head about people. But when I'm communicating, um, I'm connected and I don't need to make up any stories. I feel so serene. I do, lately, I feel very serene in my relationships. I feel like I'm feeding them. If somebody in my life who's listening to this is pissed off at me, I don't know it. So you should probably bring it up to me because I'm nice and serene right now. Um, and that's what I want to happen. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, we've got one shot at this life, and I want to spend it feeling like this. Not this in my head, like I've been talking about with the pain, but I want to feel it like this in my heart. I want to feel serene. I want to feel okay with what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today, and what I plan to do tomorrow. Like, I just want to be okay with it. And that I am. I am. Um, no matter the stuff that I know I need to do for my health, for my head pain, that's all about having a conversation with myself and making a commitment to doing the next right thing, and that I will continue to try to do. And it's progress, not perfection. And I'm certainly progressing. Somehow I'm progressing in some way, believe it or not. So, thanks for joining me today. I truly appreciate you showing up here, and I will talk to you tomorrow.